We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah Hardnett.
Well, all right. Welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio, a division of Wealthy Sistas Media Group. Be sure to check us out for all of your branding, website designs, and publishing needs at Wealthy Sistas Media. That's SISTAS media.com. Today's show has been brought to you by Let Us Say Thank You at letassaythankyou.com. Listen. Are you ready to show your clients and employees how much you truly value them? At Let Us Say Thank You, we help you express genuine gratitude with personalized cards, thoughtful gifts, memorable appreciation events, and unforgettable trips. Whether you are a sales professional or a growing company, our recognition concierge service ensures that your appreciation leaves a lasting impact. So go to letassaythankyou.com right now and let us help you increase your sales by tapping into your existing customer base through the power of gratitude. That's Let Us Say Thank You, making gratitude effortless. Well, just a little bit of history about us. We're so excited to be back on the air. Wealthy Sistas Radio started in 2009, and we've been dedicating and highlighting entrepreneurial industry leaders and change makers, for over years. And we're honored to host some of the most influential voices in business and leadership. Our show is committed to practical knowledge and empowering insights that our listeners can apply to create success in their business and lives, promoting prosperity and celebrating innovation. Our purpose, is twofold. It is first to inspire and encourage our listening audience, again, with that practical knowledge that you can apply and have a positive impact on your business and life. And second, we must promote, acknowledge, and say thank you to the sisters for doing big things, and our brothers too. I am Deborah Hardnett, your host, and you are tuned in to today's episode, The Confidence Code, equipping leaders with the tools to win. And we're so excited to have none other than Dr. Phyllis Clark. She is an esteemed educator, a leader who has transformed countless lives, and as the founder of CEO of Clark Consulting and Hey Sisters Enterprises. Wow. I'm telling you, she's done so much in this community through her research on the intersectionality of women of color and imposter syndrome. Want to learn more about that, right? She equips women and girls to gain clarity of self, build unshakable confidence and purpose, and overflow with the courage to do what they've been called. Well, without any further delay, please welcome to the show today, Miss Phyllis, Dr. Phyllis Clark. Hello, Phyllis. Welcome.
Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It's so good to reconnect with you. We have been social buddies and friends, and you've supported, the professional Black woman. I know the Winter Summit, and been a listener of Wealthy Sistas Radio, and so much more. It is just wonderful to reconnect. Yes. I saw you the other day on LinkedIn. Congratulations to you for getting that PhD and doing so many things that you're handling in the community.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that acknowledgement. I'm honored to be one of your guests on the show. Like you said, we connected a long time ago, and I was paying attention to the women leaders and the entrepreneurs and the folks that you have been talking to for a while, and they were always so inspirational. And of course, I just kept that so that it could fuel me for the future things that I had been called to do. So here I am with you now, and I couldn't be more excited.
Oh, wow. You just gave me chills, sister. You really did because, especially on radio, well, just a little bit about Wealthy Sisters. Of course, we were consistent 7 years radio and took a little break, a little hiatus, came back, back on the radio and then took another little break. And, it just keeps calling. The mission that we are all about. And when I connect with so many beautiful people like yourself and see the great things that they're doing, I have to highlight them. There's so much in our environment today that doesn't always encourage or inspire or give practical knowledge, right? And so, and highlighting the women and men who not often talked about. And so, I will have a conversation. And say, oh gosh, you're doing this. Oh my gosh, you're doing that. I gotta tell the world. They need to know about, what you're doing. And to hear you say that something we share over the years has had an impact on your life is just a blessing. So, you thank you for sharing that
Welcome.
with us. Yes, definitely so. But before we get into some of the questions I have, I always like to ask, what were those ingredients that went into this beautiful recipe that we see of you today? Like, where are you from? The audience are nosy, right? It's not really nosy, but people, we like to identify and to associate because you never know, what your story, like you just shared, how it can impact others.
Ooh, wow. So I hail from the state of Arkansas.
Yes.
And I'm a transplant to Louisville, Kentucky. And so, yeah, my husband and I grew up in the about 8 blocks apart, and we were music buddies.
Uh-huh.
And, that entire evolution of my secondary tenure, if you will, was steeped in music, and I majored in it as well at the University of Arkansas.
Wow.
And
Did
that
you play an instrument or you sing?
violin.
Cello, wonderful.
Yes, love cello too. But as a music teacher, music orchestra teacher, I had to learn how to play the cello and the viola and I had to do all of it. So because what happened was I came to the University of Louisville for graduate school and ultimately I wanted to utilize my bachelor's. And so I loved how my orchestra teacher trained and took care of all of us that I wanted to get into that work too. So that's where my start in education began. And I've been here ever since. Even though I transitioned over to higher ed, I'm still well informed and connected with what happens on the secondary sector as well. And not just because I have 2 daughters that have grown up in through the public school system, but I am just eager to stay connected to everything that happens at that level as well.
Wow. And I mean, wow, what a time to stay connected that we're in, no matter how we look at it, it still can be an exciting time because challenges always bring opportunities for people like us who have the mindset of entrepreneurship or leadership or development, where you like to see something that you can go and help make better, right?
Yes,
so definitely, I can only imagine where your wheels and how they are turning, and look forward to see some of that fruit that's coming as a result of this time for you right now. You talked about your research on this imposter syndrome,
yeah.
and man, that's huge. I'm sure I could probably take it to a whole nother level of my thought where you're probably not thinking it, but that is a major, as you said, it's a major hurdle for women and for men as well. But we're talking, right now about women. Can you talk about when you first experienced it and how you actually overcame, or first of all, what is imposter syndrome? Because like I said, I have my 2 cents of what I think it is, but I know your definition would be more detailed and probably a lot nicer than what I would say.
Well, what I can say about it, pretty practical and simplistically, is that it's just a psychological pattern. It's the
Mhm,
way that we think about ourselves in terms of our competency. And
mm,
so what it does, it kind of destroys some other things within us. It keeps us playing
mhm,
small. It makes us think that we're not worthy. It just
mhm,
turns all of the things that we've ever known about ourselves upside down, you know,
mhm,
for the most part. There are lots of different descriptions in terms of the way the thought leaders right now talk about it, and some of the research and the scholars, because everybody kind of goes through this. And
mhm,
again, it just kind of depends on where you are,
mhm,
what you're doing, and how you're experiencing it. So the
mhm,
best thing that I could say about imposter syndrome right now is that it is not you. It is
mm,
not you. You are not shaped by it. It is something that you experience. And so when I look at it like that, it's like,
mhm,
okay, so this is a thing that is set apart from me. So you know what? I need to have tools and tips to understand how to get through an experience, not
mhm,
degrade or self sabotage myself because I think this is me, or this
mhm,
is how I'm made up, or something is wrong with me.
mhm, mhm,
And so
mhm.
that is the number one thing that I would love for listeners to really think about. And as they research or Google or buy new books and read articles about it, is to see how well they understand that it is something separate.
And I guess I'm thinking too of how it could manifest itself.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
for
It does.
different examples of that.
There you
I'm thinking maybe of we are talking about the confidence,
Mhm.
maybe someone that may have a borderline, maybe arrogance, maybe it might manifest in that way. Or, when you say, usually when you see someone behaving in a manner, it's something that they are not appreciating about themselves, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So, because what we do, the manifestations come across in four classic behaviors. And
Okay.
outside of those behaviors, I'm sorry, inside of those behaviors are some other little different things that we can do, all day long to substitute, to cover up. See, because you're already feeling like a fraud, right? And you
Hmm.
don't want to appear that way. So you do other things, knowingly or not, to kind
Hmm.
of cover for that. So a lot of our research is talking about that. Let me tell you, there was some research, and all of this kind of came about. The term was coined back in the early 70s, early to mid 70s.
Okay.
And these were two psychotherapists who had a study going with about 150 white women. There were no women of color involved in the study. A lot of that has changed since then, though. Um,
Hmm.
and what they found were that these women, despite their accomplishments, despite their attributions and all these other commendations, they still saw themselves as frauds.
Hmm.
This goes back to stuff that was triggered in childhood and all sorts of other things. And so out of that study came four, what we call now the classic behaviors. And
Hmm.
it's so one, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that one.
I'm
Um,
ready. I got my pen. I'm ready. I'm taking notes.
Listen, anxiety.
Uh-huh.
Anxiety was a big one. And so inside of anxiety, there's a whole laundry list of things that constitute anxiety, right? Fears being number one. Um,
Hmm.
this other one around authenticity. Now, the
Is
reason this,
this a classic? Is that like number two, authenticity, or
well,
that's a
it's,
anxiety?
it's the order in which I'm speaking them. So this is
Okay.
number two, but these
Okay.
come in any certain order. So another classic behavior then is authenticity. And
Okay.
let me just tell you before I get to three and four, this this really came about for me because I felt like I was experiencing something, and I just got tired of beating myself up. I'm like, what is this that I am going through? So
Hmm.
despite all the accomplishments, right, there was
Hmm.
still something that just kept gnawing at me, and that
Hmm.
is actually what made me want to go into a PhD program to research it, because I wanted to see how it affects folks in graduate schools, and
Hmm.
particularly Black women. And so
Hmm.
that's what I did my study on. We can circle back to that. But number two, around authenticity is like, you need to fake it till you make it. You need to pretend. You need to do all these other things because you don't feel authentic. So it plays out, in ways like that. Number three, now, you know what? This one is really important to me. And I think a lot of people spend time here and they don't know it. And this is around hard work. Because when you first hear hard work, you're like, yeah, I'm down for hard work. I work hard, every day. I stay busy. But hard work in the sense of overcompensation. It's a cycle that we get into, and it's almost like you can visualize it as one of the, how the you had mice in the little traps, and they're running and running. Look, they work.
That one, that wheel, boy.
They are working. They are getting done. But at what cost?
Place, right.
And when will it end?
Right.
And so what we do, we start to dig all these holes of overwork to say, this is how we're getting through this. This is how we're working, but we're just spinning our wheels. And what is it?
Hiding behind it.
Yeah.
With that. Okay.
Yes. And it causes an amazing amount of stress. Whether we feel it, see it, or what. And number four is being charismatic, and charismatic is another, cool term and thing that you would think that, oh yeah, I have charisma, but it's when we try to fool people, when we try to overplay, who we are, in this particular role or work. It's things like that. When we start to not be who we're called to be in these moments, it's like we're trying to cover up because we already feel a certain way about whatever it is. And so all of these things bring on certain cycles. And when you experience them and you don't know what to do, then we move into these types of behaviors, right? And it can come out kind of like what you said, already. But guess what? I told you those were classic behaviors. Now, how it's showing up in the 21st century, you have those classic behaviors at the base, but then there are some additional, now we have some new thought leaders and researchers talking about this now. The first person that I point to is Dr. Valerie Young. So she has Dr. Valerie Young, and she is the foremost thought leader. There are some other researchers I love, and I'll mention their names in a moment. But what's important to me about what she says, let me tell you what these five. Now, she has 5 types of imposters that she likes to let people know about. And you've heard all of these. But now I want people to start thinking about when they feel this way, when they're thinking this way, that you can attribute it maybe to imposter syndrome. So think about this. You're going to hear this and be like, yep. How about the perfectionist?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yes.
And it's like you have to have, not 100, but 101. It's like your mind is constantly trying to, and it's stifling us, right? It's keeping you from moving forward or from thinking big or just, seeing the vision and marching towards it because you're so caught up in being perfect, right?
And everything has to be perfect before, like you say, like before you launch.
Yes.
You launch a business, or you got to have all the answers, and everything has to be all in place, and you're striving, like you said, for perfection. Like I have to, this has to be. Oh my goodness, I know that. Yes.
That eats people alive. And then, I lived in the space, maybe not perfection wasn't mine. There are some others here that I'm going to tell you about. But so many of us are going through this day in and day out. And so what I like to help women understand through thought partnership and mentorship is that we are who we are. And it's about strengthening your assets, not thinking about yourself through a deficit mindset. And I did that for a long time. And it just kind of brought on so much self-sabotage, which is actually another one of these new 5 types of the behaviors now. So in fact, let me scoot on down to that one. It's when you're thinking about, I have this workshop I put together from self-doubt to
Okay.
self-belief. And
Mm-hmm.
a large part of my trap was self-sabotaging myself, because of these 5 behaviors. Let me go ahead and get through them. The expert, got a lot of folks who want to be experts out there, but not realizing that this is from a point of the imposter space.
Mm-hmm.
Soloists, we like folks who can fly on their own. I did a lot of this. I got this. I can work in isolation. I'm good. We talk ourselves into operating in this way. And then when things don't manifest, then there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another good one. The natural genius. Think about that. The natural genius. Yeah. And then, because they spend a lot of time struggling to master different subjects, right? And skills and, all these things that you just have to figure out. And again, most doing it through isolation and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last one's going to get you. You know about this one, how we put our superwoman capes on, and
Yes.
it's she calls it the superhuman.
Wow.
We go above and beyond. Okay, or we got to put our S on our chest. And yeah, I did that for decades. I loved being able to be that one, to come and save the day, and putting out fires and
Yes.
all the things all the time. And we're talking about over 30 years, up to 31 now for me, being in the education sector. And throughout this.
Thank you for tuning into Wealthy Sistas Radio Part 1 episode of The Confidence Code, Equipping Leaders with the Tools to Win. Please click the link below to listen to Part 2.
The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sistas Radio.